Alright, BobalosRex here, and today's lore rant is about Ethereals and when I think they're coming, okay? Because here's the thing. I'm going to get into some possible spoiler stuff, just some stuff in the data that I've kind of talked about and hinted about and has been talked about on sites that involve some stuff. But we're talking about Ethereals, and I'm just going to go over what the Ethereals are. Actually, since I am going to have spoilers, just spoilers, FYI, right here. There's Ethereals in the data. That's it. I don't know what that spoiler's for, but there's Ethereals in the data. If you don't want nothing to know, Ethereals are in the data. It's like I guess it's like minor spoilers, but I some people don't want to know what's in the data, right? But there you go. And we're gonna look at some of the models in the data. But that's the thing. We don't know when they're gonna show up. And that's what we're talking about. So, what do we know about Ethereals already? So, Ethereals were erased. We don't actually know what their true form was, but they were a race of humanoid, whatever. They lived on Koresh, and they did some things, and then Dementius came by and slurped up their worlds. Okay? I don't remember the whole story, and honestly, we may find out how everything went down very soon, like the full story. Okay? But either way, Dementius showed up. I think some faction of the Ethereals were for the Void, and that's how he showed up. But anyways, he ate the world, blew up the world, for what we know. But the Ethereals basically turned into energy and became the mummy people we know and love. Okay? Now, we've seen the Ethereals, over here in Argus. They're doing some things. These are clearly Voidy ones. Okay? Illyria is teamed up with a Void one. Locust Walker. So clearly, Ethereals and the Void go hand in hand. And that's probably because of what went down with their world, right? Maybe Void is innate to them. We didn't see a heavy Void motif to them in Burning Crusade. They kind of had a different look. They kind of look more arcane-y. So maybe there are more arcane-y ones. And then that would make you wonder, could there be elemental-ish versions of it? In my opinion, it's limitless. Like, imagine Ethereal Shaman, if they do become playable, right? Like, imagine an Ethereal Shaman elementalized, like, if you could do, like, a red, a blue, and that would just be given your ethereal color options. But we'll talk about how it would play a little bit. But so that's kind of what's the deal with the Ethereals, right? They come from Paresh. They had a form. They lost that form, and then they reformed as energy. And then they just started doing a bunch of stuff. You have traders. You remember, if you remember the brokers from Shadowlands, the brokers kind of deal where they're interdimensional traders. The Ethereals are the original interdimensional trader. Okay? So they go around collecting magic. We see these things. I'm honestly not the biggest expert on ethereal lore. I probably should have looked more into the deep lore. But this video is mainly coming from what I think is going to go on with the Ethereals. But they have a somewhat... I don't think it's a rich history, but they're very interesting. But anyways, they go around trading, doing whatever. You got the Protectorate, you got the Consortium that we saw in Burning Crusade, you got these guys, Shadow Guards. But yeah, so we got there are ethereal factions, which means we're always open to team up with one, of course. Which is why I do think they're going to be an allied race. Okay. So, we have stuff in the data that hints that Ethereals are coming. Midnight hints that Ethereals are coming. The boss in Ashkahet. Okay. Listen up. Listen up. Listen up. This is the biggest clue to me that Ethereals are coming. And the main brunt of this video is when, right? When. Okay? At this point, y'all know I'm on the core way. I used to be on Ethereals in 11.2. I'm not on that train anymore. I think Ethereals are going to pop off at midnight. I think we're going to see hints of them in Nightfall. Okay. But I think we're going to get them in midnight, and we're going to see Koresh in midnight. All right, and I'm going to paint that picture, but I think they're going to be in midnight. Now, do we have hints of them for 11.2? Kind of. You can use Beladar as a means to get to Koresh. I no longer think we're going to do that, though. But theoretically, you can imagine that, because it teleports. And then, of course, there's Nightfall, which could indicate they could be in 11.2. But I do not think they're coming in 11.2. I think they're coming in 12.0, midnight. We're going to get playable, and we're going to be fighting them as well. We've had multiple Ethereals watching us. You've had the Ethereals in the Transmog competition, the Trial of Style watching us. You had Ethereals in the Brawlers Guild. Ooh, I hope we get the Brawlers Guild back soon, and there is another quest where the Ethereals are like, we're watching you. We're watching. Because that was a very... I can't remember the specifics, but they're watching in the Brawlers Guild. They're watching in the Trial of Style. Yo, what if they're freaking disguised up and infiltrating? That could be a whole big thing. I think we've seen Ethereals in disguises, kind of like Dreadlords in a way, but they do it more through magical means. Well, I guess Dreadlords do it through magical means too, but you know what I mean. The Dreadlord style and the Ethereal style seems a little different, because Ethereals maybe would do it through technology. Oh, like cloaking. But yeah, so maybe we'll see some of that going on, some ethereal infiltration, because that's what they've been getting at, right? Kaiveza was there. We did what she was in league with. And here's the thing. She was talking to her master. Do I think her master is Xalatath? It didn't seem like it was Xalatath. Okay? But it did seem like that person and Xalatath may be working for the same guy, and the same guy being Dementius, big boy himself. And here's the thing. I think the Ethereals coming in coming back and being in a forefront of some kind of patch would mean that Dementius is the boss, right? That is the only way we get Ethereal Homeworld, Dementius is a boss. Like, that all has to come together in a package, right? You don't get one without the others, in my opinion. You get Koresh, you get Dementius, Raid, you get Ethereals playable. Like, all of that comes together in a package. If there is someone at Blizzard that's like, no, we pieced that out. No. Dementius Raid, Koresh, area, I'm going to talk about it in a bit, where I would like it to be a whole area, but it could just be a piece. But let's talk about that later. And then Ethereal's playable. Like, Tie that up with a bow. Great patch for Ethereal fans. Do we need patches for other types of players too? Yes. But this is for the Ethereal fans. And I think it's coming soon. I think it's coming in midnight. And here's the thing. That package, that gift, could not just be a one. If it comes with an expansion, right? Think about it. Look. We got War Within. With War Within, we get a bunch of little packages. When an expansion comes out, you get a bunch of gifts. Okay? We got Earthen stuff. We got Spider stuff. We got cooler Rappy stuff. Okay. Yeah, we had a nice, like, 3 package of themes. Then we get a Goblin present. That's great. Then hopefully we're going to get this Haranir present, right? And then in midnight, elves get, Blood Elves, Void Elves get something. Night Elves can be chilling if they want. They can chill. Maybe update Belemeth for housing. Ooh. So every elf's getting stuff. So Midnight's coming with a bunch of nice little packages, right? And one of those presents is Ethereals, in my opinion. That's where I think it's going to hit. Because it's going to be the Void thing. And we are going to need a zone maybe attached to where we're going. Right, we're in midnight, right? We're in midnight. We finally get this whole area fixed. Then they give us a bonus little zone. Koresh. That we go through the Sunwell because it's been Void portalized. Because we know the Void is coming. We already know this. This is not spoiler because we know the Void is coming. We already know. And the Ethereals are coming with it. So, how does that not line up perfectly for Midnight? Sunwell being used as a portal. First raid of Midnight either being Koresh, like maybe it is the raid and Koresh is just this broken world and we just use it as a raid and we don't really get the quest there, which would be sad if it is just a raid, but I could see it as just a raid because it is a broken world. The world is like Outland is broken, right? Koresh is more broken. Okay? They could fit a zone on Koresh. And that's why I'm thinking that would be cool. We get base Midnight includes all this revamped and attached, right? Which is a lot, could be a lot of questing content. And then the quest line involves you getting back to the Isle of Quel'Danas, getting back to the Sunwell, and going through the Sunwell, and then the final area of the start of the expansion is Koresh. That would be cool. And then the final raid is basically around Dementius. Because if we fight true Dementius, I can see him, like, imagine me as Dementius, right? Like I'm a big giant void monster. And then, like, the pieces of Koresh are around me, and we basically fight through with him lording over us in the background, causing stuff on each of the fights as we get closer. And then we fight he himself at the center, and he's like... And we're just, like, using the power of all the forces against him. Some crazy shit. That would be cool. I definitely see... He has to be a big fight if we fight his true self. And I think they could do something cool with it. Where's my people? But yeah, so... I hope it could be a whole zone. And we see, like, an outer area of Koresh where we do zone activities. And then the raid leads up to him. I could also see it maybe piecemealed. Like, say, Sunwell is the first part of the raid. Right? Say we don't get full Koresh, right? Which would be a little sad, but there is precedent for it because the world is destroyed. So they can't just make it a small little piece. Imagine a little raid where we go, the first 4 bosses are at like a Void Sunwell. Then we go through maybe Xalatath's the boss of this. I thought of a really cool thing, right? Think about Well, okay, let's go through the worst version. So Sunwell is a raid with 4 bosses. You go through the final boss of this part of the raid, kind of like Pandaria style, is Xalatath, and then you go through the portal, and then you're at Koresh, and then you do the last 5 or 4 bosses in Koresh, like the broken world of Koresh, and the last boss is Dementius. You know, maybe the penultimate boss is Xalatath. And one of her attacks is she stomps you with her feet, because that's what people like. Freaking, it ain't my thing, but... So, or we get... Think about this idea. I had this idea, and I thought this was cool. Imagine, right? The next expansion has 2 raids at the start, and you're like, what? 2 raids? Think about this. Boom. Midnight, we get all these zones to level in. And then the raid, the first raid, because you have to do the first raid to do the second raid. What? There's an attunement? No. Kind of. You have to do the first raid to get to this extra zone at max level. What? You have to do the raid? With story mode, you can do this. Oh, think about it. You have to do the first raid. Okay, so the first raid is the raid on Sunwell. So we raid Sunwell. Okay. Once you defeat the Sunwell raid the first time, once you do it once or do the story mode, right? It unlocks the Isle for flight, so you can just fly over to the Isle now. Okay, that's cool. Okay, and the portal for that raid is right here, and there's another one on the Isle, so you have 2 different portals to get to this raid. Okay, interesting. Okay. So, the first raid done, you do the first raid. Now, what is that first raid? How do we get to the second raid? Well, once you do the first raid, you unlock Koresh. And it's its own little zone with some quests in it, and some dailies that you unlock as well. And maybe a world activity too, and you're like, whoa, I unlocked all this world activity stuff. Okay, that's sweet. Alright, and then you get the new zone Koresh after doing the raid. And the second you're done with doing the first raid, right, you appear on Koresh, and you're right in front of the second raid of the first tier. Okay, so the first raid would just be like 4 bosses, right? And then the second raid, right, would be 5 more bosses, and the final boss of the first raid tier, Dementius. Okay? And it's on Koresh. So, think about this. It's crazy as hell. It's crazy as hell. But yeah. Midnight. We're doing midnight. Okay, we get to level cap. Okay, we're waiting for the first raid. We're doing some activities in Silver Moon. We got our housing. First week is over. Boom, the raid opens. Boom. Maybe global release. Boom, we get into Sunwell. Boom. Story mode unlocks with everything else. Every mode unlocks. LFR for the raid unlocks day 1, 2, because it's just the first raid. Boom, you do Sunwell. You get that quest done, you do Sunwell. Boom, you unlock Koresh. A whole new zone with a new event and the entrance to the second raid with Dementius. Okay? For people, for the Mythic race, or or I guess Mythic would be delayed. Okay, so then you can do it right then and there on Heroic and Normal too. The second raid is completely open with the first, right? Maybe delay the story mode on the second raid by the second week. Maybe delay the second wing of LFR by the second week. So it'd be week 1, LFR story mode. Week 2, LFR story mode part 2. You don't have to. I'm for it all being open. But there you go. You have a 1 week delay. But then, yeah, you do the second raid. Boom. You can just do it right there because you appear right outside the entrance. So I want it to be smooth. I want it to feel like it's one raid, but it's not. It can be treated as one raid, because it's just like, do these 4 bosses, unlock the second raid, boom, do those 4 bosses. And tier will be in both raids, and the final boss of this first raid will be harder than the first boss of the second raid. But this first boss will give some cool tier stuff too. Alright? I think that could be cool. Is it the best idea? Probably not. Is it what Blizzard's gonna do? Probably not. But I had that idea. I thought that was fun. I thought that was cool. So, this is supposed to be when. When, you already know. 12.0. I think Ethereals are coming 12.0. Y'all heard what I think Dementious Raid could look like. Broken world around a massive Void Lord. I think the Ethereals we're going to be going against, it's going to be Xalatath and Dementious aligned Ethereals with a portal to Koresh through the Sunwell. Oh yeah, so yeah, that was my crazy idea. So let me just sum up like the synopsis. So you already know now what are the Ethereals. They lived on the broken world. It blew up. Then they became void/arcane energy beings. Okay, who are the Ethereals that we would be getting or fighting? So we'd be fighting void aligned Ethereals aligned with Dementious, and we'd be getting more neutral aligned Ethereals for peace, like the Protectorate, or the Consortium, like the Traders. And they would be neutral. They'd be like, yo, we see them in the capitals. They're the Void Storage. They're the Transmogrifiers. They'd be like, yo, Dementious is back. We're done sitting on the sidelines. Boom, we get playable Ethereals. And here, I was supposed to bring this up. Look at this. Boom. Boom. Look at this in the data. This was the stuff in the data. This was the spoil stuff right here. Look at this. Why Ethereals? Because they're coming with the Void. Alright? When Ethereals 12.0, because these are just hitting the data. And they look good. We got a female model. Look at that. We got bandaged titties. And then we got the boy model down here. They got their own models. So I think that's good. And I can't wait to see customizations for them. It does look like they're starting to wear... This is like a specific armor. But it does look like they can wear armors. So that is really good. And these armors... Imagine these as like the heritage armors. Like they did with the Earthen. They look so good, dude. They got samurai-ish themes here. This is super good. I'm really excited for Ethereals, and yeah, I definitely think they're coming soon, but it's going to be 12.1. It's going to be 12.1. Not 12.1. What? 12.0! They're coming with Dementious. They're coming with Midnight. You heard it here. And then where Ethereals, Sunwell, Voidwell, Koresh. Bada boom. Midnight. So there we go. That was my lore rant about Ethereals. What version did you like the most? You just want it to be like Koresh a whole zone, and then the raid there, whole raid there. Do you want it like pieced up through the Sunwell? You know, what do y'all think? Because I think in Midnight, the coming of the Void is when we're gonna get ethereal stuff. Definitely. Alright. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.